You're the most fun person to ever work with because you always put such personality in. And here we are coming in with your many, in the first book, English accents from all over the country. And then here's Russia, and you're doing the Russian accents. And you do the female as well as the male. And then you do the American Charlotte's, speech and accent. I'm always blown away. In fact, I love I absolutely love hearing what you come up with when you're doing it because we look at it couple chapters at a time, sort of thing. And I was absolutely impressed, blown away.
You are referring to the American writer in Shrewsbury, correct? Exactly. I need to be assured that she is watched and always protected, for she is responsible for an important part of Putin's plans. That has been considered while implementing arrangements. You do realize the extent of observation involved.
Award-winning author, RJ Batchelor, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Where do we find you tonight? Where are you?
I am in Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah. And is that where you wrote this book and The Lost King of England?
Parts of it were here. In fact, I'm in my favorite library. So part of the book I spent time here, but I wrote most of The Lost King of England I did in England, in Shrewsbury, England.
Yeah.
So.
And it was at that time that we first met up, wasn't it? You came to London and we had a nice lunch. In fact, we did again. Was it this year?
Yes.
when we had another lunch by the Thames?
May, one of the first few days of May. And right, we met for lunch because this book was launched in March. So I contacted you to do the audio. And yeah, it was this year.
And there was a cosmic coincidence because we both had issues at the restaurant because it was near the Royal Festival Hall where I forget which one of the royals was visited. Was it William was visiting and
Yes,
we had trouble?
William. It was William. It was a royal cause that they were supporting.
Yeah. What a coincidence considering your first book is about the Lost King of England. And this one, very similar, but very, very different. The Lost Tzar of Russia. A lot more intrigue in this one and skullduggery, shall we say, and a lot more history, but still similar thing. And you've won an award for this one. Tell me about the award.
Well, it was the first book I won the International Impact Award for, which was The Lost King of England.
Yes.
And that was for 2024. And I didn't go to a ceremony or anything for that, but this one just won the 2025 International Impact Award also. And so I was actually able to be awarded two at the same ceremony here in Phoenix, which is one of the reasons I came. And it was pretty intense, pretty amazing. I met some outstanding authors that had stories that the world really, really are hearing now. And so I felt honored to be there because the Lost Tzar of Russia is telling the true story as told to me by his grandson of Nicholas, Tsar Nicholas II, the Romanov. And it explained, as he did, the truth behind what happened to the Romanov family, who no one's ever really known for sure. So yeah, this was a pretty big deal. And I was threatened, as usual, to be very fictional about it.
Yes.
So,
because you are in the book, but you have a different name and...
Oh, yeah, there's a character named Charlotte. She's in both this series. Yeah. She finds out secrets here and finds more secrets here. And so her life sort of floats through these two stories. And yeah, it was based upon my discoveries.
Now,
And
in the first book, you went to England and you did a lot of research. Now, Russia is a whole different deal. How did you do the research for this one?
this one, it wasn't based on documents that I found in archives, or you see, I work out of the British library a lot and decipher Old English into common or modern English now, and that's where I found some of the secrets for the first book. This one, I was trying to find connections between Tsar Nicholas II and his father with Queen Victoria. And so I worked again out of the British Library. During COVID, I was actually sort of holed up in London in a hostel of all things, and spent days looking at the Royal Archives, which the British Library gave me permission to and access to because of COVID. I couldn't go into the building. So here I am in a hostel looking at 500 packets with 50 letters from Queen Victoria to Tsar Alexander, who is the father of Tsar Nicholas II. So a lot of letters about what was going on, the beginning of the Russian Revolution, what countries were falling in line as allies, but yet stabbing them in the back. Just a lot of things. And they talked in code quite a bit, Victoria and the two czars. So it was an interesting research. And plus then, again, the grandson appeared to me when I was, of all places, here in Mesa, Arizona, asked if I was frightened to tell the truth. And I sort of laughed about it and said, no, I guess I'm getting over that now. So he said, well, I want you to meet my family. We have a story to tell. And this guy I didn't know, Philip, is his name, and I said, okay. A lot of writers get people saying, oh, we have a great story, we should tell it. And I encourage them to write it. So I thought that was one of these until he opened his front door, and here in his living room was this very large, life-size, entire wall-filled painting of Tsar Nicholas II, Tsarina Alexandra, and the 5 children, Romanovs, who were all rumored or told in history to have been murdered and executed to end the monarchy and in Russia, and they were murdered by the Bolsheviks. And then the White Army with Lenin, which had the final influence over that revolution anyway. The truth, nobody really knew. There were so many different stories. And so here was a man telling me that was his family. And I was looking at it going, but they're dead. And he said, well, that's the story. Some aren't, we're not. So that's where all the rumors about way back when Anastasia, they said she is the daughter that survived, blah, blah, blah. And anyway, so I taped about 9.5 hours because I said, I'm leaving for London, literally in 48 hours. I don't have much time. I'm trying to finish the launch on the Lost King of England book. We're getting that done. And so we did 9.5 hours of audio tape. And out of that, and a lot of research I did through the Victoria Albert Museum Library, authorized me. I was able to get bonded in to look at their records, and those were more of Victoria's connections to Nicholas, because her granddaughter was the Tsarina Alexandra. So there was a lot of letters that were exchanged between them while they were in captivity that people don't know about, and that's kind of what this and the grandson, the man Philip, he is the son of one of the surviving, and I said one of the surviving children of there was survivors of that execution.
So where is Philip now?
In hiding.
Right.
Because you see, he is the last full-blooded prince of Russia. Putin and him have been in contact since 2019, and or a little 18 actually, and he grew up in hiding. His parents were in hiding because of the Communist Party wanted the Romanovs all murdered. I mean, they didn't just set out to murder the monarchy itself. They wanted the name the Romanov wiped. So they were looking for them for years through all the countries of Europe. So these surviving Romanovs spread into other countries and continents to stay safe. As same as other countries that when before World War II, because this kind of led into everyone, communism being and Nazi moving through Europe as a German Nazi nationalist party with Adolf leading it. All the people were scared they were going to be, that all the kings and queens felt that they were going to be trapped and murdered. And so they started sending their children, which is why this whole book series, The Lost Kings, I started to write, because the children were put into hiding. And this was before World War II actually broke out, because they saw the fall of the monarchy. It's why Victoria married every one of her sons and daughters and grandsons off to foreign countries to strengthen the holds of the monarchies to stand against the communism which was coming. And so, yeah, this is an intricate part of showing what happened or what was happening that nobody knew about between the World War I and II. It was pretty, it was just as bloody as the wars themselves. So it was a fascinating, very heart-rending research to do.
Yeah.
But it needed to be.
Aren't you worried though that by exposing these two stories, the Lost King of England, because you found the person who you believe to be the true King of England, because of it's tricky, but in the first book you follow it through and you explain it really, really well, and I don't want to give too much away. And in this one you explain how the Tsar's children escaped being murdered and how they got away and being on the run and all that, all the drama of that, as well as talking about the drama with you at home with Philip being told the story and being given the story. Aren't you worried that, the British monarchy is a pretty powerful thing, but the Russian one is even more deadly, shall we say? Aren't you worried about one of them catching up with you and saying, look, you've got to stop telling these stories?
Well, they already did in their own way. You see, when you're hanging out with the last full-blooded prince of Russia, who in their very spiritualized world in Russia, they do have it's a very mystical religion, the Russian Orthodox Church, but they're very dedicated to it. And they won't let anything happen to Philip, because he is the grandson of Tsar Nicholas II, and his true name is Nicholas III Romanov. But they are in contact with him because they hope that he will eventually, they would like to bring the monarchy back. Putin has said that publicly in 2018 or 19, it was right before COVID. And that's when he was first in contact with Philip. So when they found out what I was doing, he told them not to touch me because he was telling me the story. At which point they said, well, he just gave them no choice. He said, if something happens to her, I will release everything I know to the press immediately, the same day. So they, instead of being frightened, I feel very and overly protected, but they did put out a little warning where they chipped me in a public garden fair that was going on in Shrewsbury at the time. I didn't know it. It was done very slick and very easily with a pin, where they take the pin and it looks like a pin, and it's numbing on the needle part, and it goes in and out very quickly into your arm. And so I was chipped by them. And Philip was very unhappy and called to the Russian Orthodox Church, who are the orchestrators of most things that happened during this book and this event. and told him that he was angry about what had happened. And they said, you asked us to protect her. And that's how we protect all of our ambassadors, our military attaches and everything. They get the same chip. But what he told them and what I had found out no doctors will take it out in America. It is a federal offense. They will lose their licenses to practice if they ever take a chip out of an individual. So I had to go through other methods to get it. They tried to remove it, shall we say, but it had a bubble, which was a cyanide bubble on it. And they did get that one out. But the chip itself is still alive and well, and they know where I'm at all the time. So if they're going to take me out, they're willing to pay the price. But so far they have not. So.
Wow. And you do cover all this in the book, and you go through
Yes,
all the adventures in detail, yeah. And it all unfolds, and it all gets pretty scary. But it's
Charlotte's it's pretty clear in the book what's going on with her, and what I tried to do in the book was show people what history really held, what really was going on. I mean, the Russians are notorious for never letting anyone know their information. And that was the biggest thing with me, is that they did not want the world to know the actual story. When things happened, they put out on purposefully 17 or more different stories of what had actually happened to the Romanov family and with the Bolsheviks and such. And nobody knew the truth. It was very confusing, and they did that in order to hide the Romanovs, as many as they could. And since then, they've all kept it. All the countries that were involved in helping them, all the countries that were involved in taking them down, have all been very silent about it. They don't want the world to really know. And this book covered what I was told, and which, again, I do my research. I went to all the places where they were said to be safe houses, and I was told that's where they were in hiding at different times. And those all are authentic. And so that's how before I write things, even though I write them as fictions based upon true history, you decide what's true and what's fiction sort of thing. I always check to make sure what I'm doing is based upon the truth, but just enough so that people are going to have that question and maybe do their own research too, which I'm a big one for that.
And tell me about the cover art, because the cover is magnificent. Hold up the full book there. Can you do that? Can you hold that up so we can see look at that with the sword? How did you get that done? Who did that? Well,
I dreamed these covers. I made the mistake the very first time I did the Lost King. I had a different cover with a different company that I hated the cover. They weren't giving me much choice. I had a lot to learn as a brand new author. But then I had a dream, and this was the cover. And so I found through Outside Independent, through Fiverr and a few other sources, great graphic artists that can do these things. And I dreamt this one all as well. Woke up, found the same graphic designer that had done this one, so that they would look as a series fairly. And I guess, this is what I dream. And I think there's a lot of authors that get so involved with their stories, their research, that they dream parts of it. And I do as well. I'll wake up and it's there and I have to write something. But this one, it was very neat. And then I had a new publisher that I had gone through and with Mindster Media. They have a fabulous graphic and art department that will work with the authors. That's what my big plug to them is. They took what we had done and they really fine-tuned it and made it even bolder. And I like it even better than this one. And this one, it won the 2024 International Impact Award, first of all, for the cover.
Wow.
And so they really liked this one. And I had only given it to them to look at, to compete. And I didn't expect them to respond so quickly, and they did. I thought it would be in next year's, but it came out in 2025. So
it's terrific. It's a great cover. And
I like the Kremlin behind it. I mean, it's got the background has in shadows is the Kremlin, and then the sword. We tried to make sure we put the emblem of the Russian Empire at that time and things, and they just did a great job. They just did a great job, just what I dreamed. So,
It's lovely. And were you always interested in history as a kid?
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
My mother, in book one, I even told about it because this is a series. Charlotte is in carries through it, and that I had a mother who studied ancient Egyptian history and such in the early years, and she's the one that got me onto reading history because she was always reading a book, and I asked her why, and she handed me the Iliad by Homer and said, "Read this. If you have questions, put bookmarkers in, and we'll talk about it." So that's kind of how it started. And it's actually how I found the first king. The first king of England was by a birthmark that my mother had told me back when I was young, and we looked at what they called it, and she was an amazing woman. She was an amazing woman, and she got me hooked on books and history.
Yeah. And then, like, particularly this one, it came to you, didn't it? Which is a bit cosmic, with Philip finding
Well,
you.
they just keep evolving. I'm working on book 3, and it's the same thing. It has the stories find me, and I think the first one found me just through a birthmark, but the second one was, I mean, I was invited by the Lost Tsar of Russia, or at least not lost one, the present one, to go have tea on his front porch so he could introduce me to the story. I mean, how does that happen? I mean, what are the chances? But he had heard about my work on the first one, and just gossipy little neighborhood we were in, and it was pretty amazing. It always is. I never know what to expect. I tell everyone, the universe throws you into situations and stories come to you. Don't ignore them. There's a reason that you're being brought into it. And in my case, that's the purpose I have is I'm supposed to write the story so that people can look at it and say, compare it to what we were told growing up in our school history classes and such, and then find the truth out. And alternative history is a big deal right now because more truths are coming out. You know, the conquerors always made their own stories, but the true stories are more interesting usually.
And in the book, there is a romance between the character of Charlotte and the Lost Tzar of Russia. How much of that is accurate?
I don't know what percentage to put on that one. It's
But
not
there
like
was something going on, yeah?
What are you asking me here?
I just want to know how much of that was, poetic license and how much of it was going on.
It's easier to say how much was it.
Okay.
Maybe 10% was not. The rest was accurate.
Really? So all that really happened as well. So you really became part of the story as you were working on it.
Yes. But then again, as my words of knowledge come into, it's a different world, the monarchy. Those are bloodlines and monarchy. And it doesn't matter what people's intentions or hearts are saying. There is a world of the average person, no matter what, can never fit in. I look at the
So you
modern
could
day
never be the Tsarina? Could you
What?
ever be the Tsarina?
No, because we don't have a czar yet.
No, but if we did, or if Russia did,
If they brought Phil or Nicholas III in, that was something that was discussed during it all, and I was like, I would be lost. I don't speak Russian. I don't. I didn't think I could ever fit into it.
but you could do this. You could do this, couldn't you?
Oh yeah, And the nod, and the nod. I have that down. Yes, but poor Alexandra had to fit. That was Victoria's granddaughter that married Nicholas. She had to learn a lot, and she was not popular. In fact, they blamed her for everything bad that ever happened because she was half German, you see, as well as being British or English. And that's part of the story is how she was treated, even with her royal background from the UK and England, and she never was accepted by the Russian people because there's just there's too much mystery amongst the Russian Empire. There's much mysticism. There's very much no. They don't like to tell the truth. They don't want the truth out. They want to be very private, and so that country is surrounded with stories that are untrue. The book also talks about Rasputin and the truth of what happened with that. I mean, these come from, and I had an interview in Edinburgh where again, the universe threw somebody at a table next to mine eating when I was there, and he happened to be the grandson of one of the princes. Let's see, it was Nicholas's sister's son. And this is the grandson, and he told me stories about who really was executed of the Romanov family, because the Bolsheviks were hunting all of them. They killed 32 in one day, supposedly, but he told me the truth about the ones. I mean, they let the lies come out so they quit hunting, when really there were many that were hidden. And they're now still debating coming out of hiding. And so he told me a bit of this as well. So it wasn't just Philip Nicholas III, it was a prince, one of the princes. And he would also be a prince if there was a monarchy in place. And he was a young man and very frightened that I knew too much. But he did share enough. And like I said, the universe has kept throwing people at me that I needed to write this book and tell this story, even though I was kind of shook up about several things. I didn't want to have a relationship with a character in a book or this story. I didn't want to be threatened more because they threaten your family. Russia's really, well, so is the CIA, and so is every other regency of England. They're very thorough when they come to following through, but I just didn't want to go too far with it. It was a very, very thin razor's edge I walked.
It's an amazing book. It's called The Lost Tzar of Russia. How did you find the experience of turning it into an audiobook?
Oh, I love that. You're the most fun person to ever work with because you always put such personality in. And here we are coming in with your in the first book, English accents from all over the country. And then here's Russia, and you're doing the Russian accents. And you do the female as well as the male. And then you do the American Charlotte's, speech and accent. I'm always blown away. In fact, I love... I absolutely love hearing what you come up with when you're doing it, because we look at it couple chapters at a time sort of thing. And I was absolutely impressed, blown away. And we had the hardest thing, I think, was getting Alexander, because we could do some time where we have, 3 arcs going on, 3 timelines and events. And when talking about Nicholas and Alexander when they were very young and teenagers and first met, and the voice you had to have for that one. And then as she was aging through the story, that was the only challenge, was how does she sound as she gets old?
Yeah. It was wonderful to do. It was so much fun because of all the accents and the strong characters as well. The people around them that helped get them out, where they were strong. You were dealing with strong, serious people. It was so much fun to do. Yeah, it was good.
And I
Well,
worried
it's
about you doing them, but you did a great job. And like I said, a few countries did not want anything about what they did to help rescue the Romanovs get out, but it is out, and I've had no threats there, so we're all good with
oh,
that.
well, I hope you stay safe and well. What is next for RJ Batchelor? Because we've got the Lost King of England, the Lost Tzar of Russia. What's next?
The most frightening thing I've ever done. The book is called The Lost Roman Empire. Goes back to the very end of the Roman Empire when everyone felt the Roman Empire fell and that there was no longer, well, it is alive and well and always has been. The Lost Roman Empire.
The Lost Roman Empire. Right now, the one that's out and is the latest audiobook we've done with RJ Batchelor. I know her as Becky. It's called The Lost Tzar of Russia. If you'd like to get the audiobook version, there's a link. If you're watching this on YouTube, there is a link in the description. Click that and you can download yourself a copy. And stay safe and successful, Becky. Great to talk to you as ever.
God looks after me. The whole universe does. So there you have it. All right. Thank you. And as usual, Graham, it was a pleasure. You're the best audio producer in the business. I will recommend you to everyone. Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Becky. I appreciate that. That's nice. Thank you. And you're a great writer too, but you already know that. You've won awards.